One second here. All right. My name is Andrew Macht. I am a dialogue editor for a audiobook series here. I am continuing this edit that I've been working on for a little bit now. Not doing too great keeping up speed, but I also got time to work on this project. 2 months, 2 months and a half. So what I got going on is just kind of where I left off. Hoping to work for an hour tonight yet. It is currently 1 a.m. here, 12:58 specifically. And yeah, just going in and starting the edit here.
Nothing can stop me from completing my mission. Soon I'll be feasting on the finest foods while being bathed by the most beautiful women the Empire has within its borders.
So 2 things here. We got mouth click noises and slime, as I'd like to call it. And then we also have the reverb from the room. So his voice is very reverberant, and I'm trying to isolate it so it sounds a little more present and forward in this audiobook, because I'll be I'm doing a mix too for this course, and I want to be able to apply my own IR impulse responses over these voices to help set them into where they need to be. All right. Going to bring this over to RX7, standalone.
Nothing can stop me from completing my mission. Soon I'll be feasting on the... Nothing can stop me from completing my mission. Stop me from completing my mission.
You can hear one click right here. I use Command 2, which is the shortcut key for D-click.
Me from completing my mission. Me from completing my mission. From completing my mission. From completing my mission.
Complete is very powerful.
Me from completing my...
Right there. And Command 5. Oops. Command 5. Nothing. Command 6.
Stop me from completing my mission.
Command 5 is a shortcut key for deplosive, and Command 6 is shortcut for spectral repair, attenuate.
Stop me from completing my mission. Soon...
As you can hear, another click here. Oops.
Soon I'll be feast. Soon I'll be...
More clicks.
Soon I'll be feast. Soon I'll be feast. Soon I'll be feasting on the... Soon I'll be feasting on the finest foods while being bathed by the most... Being bathed. being bathed. Being bathed while being bathed by the most beautiful bathed by the most
Command C, Command V, copy and paste.
bathed by the most beautiful women, the bathed by the most beautiful women, bathed by the most beautiful women, the beautiful women, 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 the beautiful women, beautiful women, beautiful,
See if I can soften that a little bit.
beautiful women, the beautiful women, beautiful women, the
Whoa.
beautiful women, the beautiful women the empire has within its borders. Its borders. Its borders. 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 Borders.
I did forget one thing, is getting rid of the reverberation for this track. So I gotta bring it back in.
Nothing can stop me from completing my mission. Soon I'll be feasting on the finest foods while being bathed by the most beautiful women the empire has within its borders. Nothing can stop me from completing my mission. From completing my mission. From completing my from completing my mission. From completing from completing my completing completing my completing my completing 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 my completing completing completing
Just a test, sir.
from completing from completing my from completing my mission. From completing my mission. Soon I'll be feasting on the finest foods while being bathed by the most beautiful.
Yeah, that one's a little better. Let's hear it from the beginning before I send this back.
Nothing can stop me from completing my mission. Soon I'll be feasting on the finest foods while being bathed by the most beautiful women the empire has within its borders.
I shouldn't get too specific here either. The other thing that I got going on is there is music at this moment playing back right now. already have the music imported. I just have those tracks muted. And here's that music track.
Nothing could stop me from completing my mission. Soon I'll be feasting on the finest foods while being bathed by the most beautiful women the Empire has within its borders.
So what I like to do is, because I know I got music playing back behind the dialogue, I can be a little less aggressive towards my edit. I don't want to get rid of things I don't have to. There's no reason to get rid of something if it's going to get masked.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces
Beautiful women the Empire has within its borders.
Oatly turns back and to face the nomads. Oatly turns back again to face the nomads.
So we got noise at the beginning and end, and a bit of mouth clicks. Other than that, it's pretty good.
Oatly turns back.
A little bit of the low end build up there. Chop that off.
Oatly.
I might need to just trim this, but it's fine. Like this.
Oatly turns back. Oatly turns back again. Oatly turns back again to back again to back again to again to back again to back again to face the nomads. Again to face the nomad. Again to face the nomad. Face the nomads. Face the nomads. Ads.
That doesn't sound very good. Let's try mouth declick. I'll just do this manually. Again, this is Command C, Command V, copy paste. The idea here is to grab frequency selection without much noise in it. That is quite similar to the material that's surrounding it. So you create no additional clicks or pops, and then you just copy and paste that frequency range. Just like that. Same deal.
The nomads. The nomads. Face the nomads.
And now all that's out of there. And then put on. How do I want to deal with that? Just no. There we go.
Nomads. Nomads.
Figured as much.
Nomads. 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 It's the nomads. Oatly turns back again to face. Oatly turns back again. Oatly turns back.
This problem when I start critically listening, I notice some things I missed along the way. What was it? Command. There it is. Option.
Oatly turns back. Oatly turns. Oatly turns back again. Oatly turns back again to face. Oatly turns back again to face. Oatly turns.
There's one good one right there.
Oatly turns back. Oatly turns back again to face the nomads.
There we go.
Oatly turns back again to face the nomads.
And like I said, I was going to just trim this up. That.
Borders.
Oatly turns back again to face the nomads.
And you'll be here fending for scraps.
A few clicks at the end here.
And you'll
A bump there.
be here fending for scraps. And you'll be here and you'll be here fending for scraps. Fending for scraps. Scrap.
Mainly just the ending here.
Scraps. 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 For scraps. For scraps.
Again, I'm just using Command 2, which is declick. That's the shortcut. You can actually right click here and see the learn shortcut keys for things like ambience match, dehum, de-reverb, EQ match, same deal, render. Here's everything that I'm working with.
You're thinning for scraps. You're thinning for scraps. You're thinning for scraps. For
Nope, that didn't work.
thinning for scrap. Thinning for scrap. Thinning for scrap.
That's good.
Thinning for scraps. Thinning for
Yeah, call it good.
thinning for scraps.
And I'm going to use de-reverb here. And that's dialogue de-reverb.
And you'll be here thinning for scraps. And you'll be here thinning for scraps. Scraps.
Let's dry them out a little more here.
Scraps. And you'll be here thinning for scraps.
Command 6, spectral repair. And that's the attenuation tab. What I like to do after I do a de-reverb, if there's some things that are outstanding in just certain sections, I go in at the in-between where the reverb will be, and then use Command 6 to pull it back a little bit. And how that works is it's based off your last settings. No, I shouldn't say to be fair. The one thing to note is you can see my strength value is pretty high and my surrounding region is pretty low. It can be problems at times. Just make sure you have this adjusted to whatever you need. Otherwise, you're going to take away too much.
And you'll be here thinning for scraps. There has within its borders.
Oatly turns back again to face the nomads.
And you'll be here thinning for scraps.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces a smile onto his face. As he creates distance from the pack of nomads, the man with the scar face grabs a spear from the hand of one of...
There has within its borders.
Oatly turns back again to face the nomads.
And you'll be here thinning for scraps.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces a smile onto his face. As he creates distance from the pack of nomads, the man with the scarface grabs a spear from the hand of one of his tribe's men. Scarface digs in a pouch that is tied to his waist and removes a small stack of blue leaves from an ivy-like plant. He rubs the leaves on the tip of the spear. As he presses the leaves into the sharpened stone, a small bit of liquid secretes out and covers the spear tip. Speaking in the dialect of the region, he says,
"Guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land."
As you can hear, a few different issues, similar things. We got mouth clicks, we got discontinuation, probably poor edited sections of dialogue here with the narrator, a bit of noise in the background, and that's really the most of it. And
Oatly begins to run into the desert.
his voice is luckily fairly present. Record on MXL 770, I believe. just using the EQ preset for low frequency removal.
Oatly begins to
Clothing noise at the beginning.
Oatly be
Yeah, I could use de-rustle here. Kill the audio here. Let's see. Where is de-rustle? There it is. Try it out.
Oatly begins to
Eh. What I'll do is just cut that section off. I'll start here.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces Oatly begins to run. Oatly begins to run. Oatly begins to
Right away. Mouth noise.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces a smile onto his face.
I gotta find where that auto scroll is in RX-7. I forgot.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He desert. He forces a smile onto. He forces a smile on. Smile onto.
Whoa. Shit. Oh, good. Good. What happened here is I accidentally hit Command Q, which quit the application.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces a smile onto it. Into the desert. He forces a smile onto his face. He forces a smile. Forces a smile onto his face. Onto his face.
What's that? Otherwise, manual edit. Nope.
Onto his face. Onto his face. As he creates distance from the pack of nomads. As he creates distance from the pack of nomads. the pack of no pack from the pack from the pack of nomads. The man with the scar-face the man with the scar-face grabs a spear from the hand of one of his scar-face grabs a spear 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 from the hand of one of his tribe's men. Scarface Scarface digs in a pouch that is tied to his waist and removes a small stack of blue leaves from an removes a small stack of blue removes a small stack of small stack a small stack of blue leaves from an ivy-like plant. He rubs the leaves on the tip of the spear. As he presses the leaves, as he presses a- as he presses the leaves into the sharpened stone. As he presses the leaves into the sharpened stone, presses the leaves into the sharpened stone, leaves into the sharp leaves into the sharpened stone. A small bit of liquid secretes out and covers the spear tip. Small bit of liquid secretes out. Liquid secretes out and covers the spear tip. Speaking in the dialect of the region. Speaking in the dialect of the region. Dialect of the region. Speaking in the dialect of the region. Dialect of the region. Dialect of the region. Dialect of the region. Dialect of the region, he says. Speaking in the dialect of the region, he says. Says. Says.
Probably gonna cut that off there. As you can see, it looks like it's bad edit. Director tells me, producer tells me that they did not edit this at all before I received it. But we're seeing the real deal of what's going on here. Probably edited and then consolidated it somehow, some way.
Oatly begins to run into the desert.
So again, got that clothing noise beginning. Cut that off. Fade.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces a smile onto his face. As he says,
Processing the track with dialogue isolate here.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He forces a smile.
There we go. It's quite a bit better. Has option F to center selection to screen. And I'm using R and T for zoom in and out in A to Z mode. A to Z mode is here, 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 and trying to remember the shortcut for A to Z mode. It's been a while since I used that shortcut.
Things in this land.
The region, he says.
Guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land.
The scar-faced man hoists Oatly begins to run.
Okay. That did not work.
Oatly begins to run into the desert. He
Okay. 1 sec here.
Guide my hand, ancestors.
There we go.
Guide.
So,
For the good.
just happening there. It's good.
Guide my hand and guide my hand, ancestors. Sisters, for the good. Sisters, for the good of all living, things in this land, for the good, for the good, for the good, for the good, for the good. for the good of all living, for the good of all living things in this, the good of all living things, the good of all living things, all living things in this, all living things in this land, for the good of all living things in this land, this land, this land, this land, this land, this land,
A little bit overstepping there.
this land, in this land,
Yeah.
this land, living things in this land, living things in this land, living things in this land,
There.
guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land, guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land, ancestors, for the good of all ancestors, for the
Oops.
for the good, for the good of, for the good of, for the good, for the good of all, for the good, for the good of all,
Down.
for the good, for the good of all living things in this land,
There we go.
for the good of all living things in this land, for the good of all living things in this land,
Speaking in the dialect of the region, he says,
guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land, guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land, guide my hand, ancestors, for the good of all living things in this land,
The scar-faced man hoists up the spear above his head and the scar The scar-faced man hoists up the spear above his head and begins to sprint. He stops and throws the spear high into the air in the direction of Oatley. The scar-faced man The scar-faced The scar The scar-faced The scar-faced man The scar-faced man The scar-faced The scar-faced man The scar-faced man hoists up the scar-faced man hoists up the spear above his head and begins up the spear above his head and begins to sprint. Sprint. He stops and throws. He stops. He stops. Stops. And 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 throws the spear and throws the and throws the and throws 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 and throws and throws the and throws the and throws the spear high into the air in the direction the spear high into the air in the direction the spear high into the air into the air into the air into the air in the direction of Oatley. He stops and the scar-faced man hoists up the spear above his head and begins to sprint. He stops and throws the spear high into the air in the direction of Oatley. The, of Oatley. The spear glides The spear glides up through the air, spinning with perfect symmetry, until it clips the tip of a raven's wing. The jarring cry of the bird catches Oatley's attention as he